My name is Charlotte Proud and I am 26 years old. I was diagnosed with Osteogenesis Imperfecta at the age of 2. Osteogenesis Imperfecta is a rare genetic disorder and also more commonly known as brittle bone disease. The term Osteogenesis Imperfecta means imperfect bone formation. It is a disorder that causes bones to break easily, often from mild trauma or no apparent cause. It's estimated that 1 in 15,000 people in the UK are affected by this condition, and worldwide it may affect 7 in 100,000 people. However, the mild form may be underdiagnosed. Osteogenesis imperfecta is caused by a genetic defect, resulting in insufficient production or imperfectly formed collagen, which is the main component of connective tissue such as bone. Evidence of osteogenesis imperfecta is often present at birth, and milder forms of the condition may not be recognised until a child begins to walk. Brittle bone is present throughout a person's lifetime, as there is currently no cure. Treatment for osteogenesis imperfecta is largely aimed at managing fractures, encouraging mobility, independence and physical activity. Treatment may include drugs aimed at reducing bone turnover and increasing bone density, as well as vitamin D supplements. There are at least 8 recognised types, ranging from type 1 to type 8. The condition can vary from person to person. For example, some people over their lifetime may have a few fractures or several hundred fractures. Type 1 is the mildest form of osteogenesis imperfecta, and type 2 is the most severe. Other types of this condition have signs and symptoms that fall in between these extremes. Osteogenesis imperfecta can have many health implications. These include a wide range such as low bone density, brittle teeth, fragile skin and hearing loss. It can cause easy bruising, fatigue, vision problems, hypermobility, depending on the type and the severity. I have type 1, which is estimated to account for 50% of all cases. The characteristic features vary greatly from person to person, even for people with the same type. Individuals with the mild forms of the disease may be of normal height and have no obvious symptoms. The only way that you can visually tell that I have this condition is that the whites of my eyes are blue and I bruise easily. Approximately 50% of all adults will experience some form of hearing loss. In the early 20s, I started having problems with my ears, and I've had around 5 operations due to problems with my inner ear. When I had my first operation on my ear, I also had my adenoids removed. Shortly coming back from the operation, which should have just been a simple day case, I had severe bleeding from my nose, which took approximately 6 days to stop. I was referred to haematology, although no apparent cause was found. I am more accident prone and appear more clumsy than other people, possibly due to hypermobile joints and lax ligaments. Whilst running in a race 3 years ago, I fell over and hit the ground hard. I was more in shock than in pain, and before I knew it, my clubmates picked me up again. My first thoughts were that I had to carry on, until my clubmates kept repeating over and over again, "Just don't look down," which is when I realised how bad it was. I still remember now the first aiders covering the race weren't quite prepared and were shocked at the state of my knee. I required 8 stitches in my knee, but amazingly I had no fractures. The condition can be often be diagnosed based on the presence of fractures of other clinical features. A family history and genetic testing can also help to confirm a diagnosis. I was diagnosed at age 2 at the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham, as this is where we lived at the time. It was noticed that my head was a larger size than normal for a 2-year-old. I was diagnosed with hydrocephalus, which is extra CSF fluid on the brain. Wormian bones were also discovered on a scan with the subsequent diagnosis of osteogenesis imperfecta. After I was diagnosed at the age of 2, my dad was also diagnosed with the same condition at the age of 31. When my dad was a child, he was always breaking bones, but everyone just thought he was a young boy getting into mischief, and he was labelled as being accident prone. Although my dad wasn't diagnosed until after the age of 31, he says that if he'd been labelled with a diagnosis, this would have prevented him from having a successful career in the RAF. I've estimated to have at least 50 fractures. Currently at the moment, I have 3 years without a fracture, which is the longest I've ever had without breaking a bone. I think this might be because I'm at the age where I have more of an awareness of my condition, and regular exercise has definitely helped. My first known fracture was when I was 20 months old and somehow managed to fracture my leg from simply tripping over in the bathroom. On the 21st of October 1994, aged 2 years and 2 months, I fell over in a shoe shop whilst my mum was trying to buy some shoes. An ambulance was called. I fractured the same leg but had a different fracture. Aged 2 years and 11 months, I was playing with my older brother when I somehow managed to slip on a book on the dining room carpet. I fractured my right lower leg and spent 2 nights in hospital. Aged 3 years and 5 months, I decided it was a good idea to stand up in my pushchair. I fell onto a stone floor and managed to fracture my collarbone. The worrying factor at this point is that discussions at the hospital were pointing towards possible child abuse, which must have been extremely stressful for my parents. These are the earliest known fractures, although there is a possibility that I may have been born with fractures. I've had multiple fractures, including a fractured elbow when I was 9. I was playing around in the living room, again with my older brother. I jumped up to swing between the armchairs when I felt a weird sensation in my elbow. I knew instantly that something was wrong. I ended up spending Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in hospital. I absolutely love football. However, when I was 14, another player slide tackled me badly, and I ended up dislocating my ankle, as well as crushing my tibia and fibula. When I was 19 and in my first year of university, I slipped over on the ice just from walking across the car park. I required external fixation, and my wrist still has a limited range of movement. Living with a rare condition can be difficult at times, especially when I have a fracture, but I'm very grateful for the support I have from my family and friends who are there to support me. My colleagues at work are great and don't treat me differently to anybody else. My running club, Saltwell Harriers, are excellent and have provided me with the opportunity to enjoy running and take part in a variety of races. I imagine that having a child with a rare disease like brittle bones must have been extremely stressful for my family. Although I have so much appreciation for them, and they've always just let me get on with whatever I don't want to do. They have never held me back from joining in any activity, although they did draw the line at skiing and ice skating, even though I did ask several times. I managed to persuade them to buy me a pair of roller skates. The Brittle Bone Society is the sole charity in the UK to support individuals affected by Osteogenesis Imperfecta. They provide information, advice, financial support, and work with other health professionals. When I was younger, the Brittle Bone Society helped when they were able to ensure that an occupational therapist from Great Ormond Street Hospital, London, could give practical advice both at home and at school. I have an extremely high pain threshold, as I can break a bone and not present the same way as everybody else. Therefore, I may have had more fractures than estimated. When I was 4 years old, I fractured my arm, but nobody knew until it appeared on an X-ray 4 weeks later, when I fractured the same arm in a different place. My parents had absolutely no idea, as I hadn't complained to anybody that it was painful. When I was 14, I was playing a game of netball at school. I jumped up to catch the ball, landed awkwardly, and felt a painful click in my hip. I managed to somehow walk off the court and was taken to A&E. I think my mum was very confused as to how on earth I managed to stand up after falling, let alone walk. I still remember the doctor in A&E who made me walk along the corridor and then saying that I couldn't possibly have a fracture as I could walk on it. After continuing to play sport, although with more difficulty, a fracture was found 6 weeks later. Only this year, my dad walked around with a fractured neck of femur for 12 weeks before a diagnosis was made. This was then repaired with a hip screw. Brittle bone disease has a large psychological impact, as does any rare disease. I find it difficult at times as the condition is completely unknown to other people unless they're close family, friends or doctors who have specialist knowledge. It can be worrying at times not knowing or being able to plan when the next fracture could be or the severity of it. There have been numerous times when I've been seen in A&E and I haven't been taken seriously because I do not present the same way. 4 years ago, I tripped over whilst out running. I ran back home again, but I knew that my left hand didn't feel right. It was x-rayed and no fracture was found. I was sent back home, but myself and my family knew there had to be a fracture. So we went back to A&E, and this time the doctor took the time to listen and explained they couldn't see a fracture on the x-ray, but would treat it as a fracture. I was then referred for an MRI scan where the fracture appeared clearly. This is a quote that I found: "When they say you can't, then show me their limits, not yours." This quote for me is about growing up with a rare disease, as brittle bones has always made me want to prove other people wrong and what I can do and achieve. When I was due to start school at the age of 4, the local authority said that I should be placed in a special school just because they didn't understand the condition. My family had to fight, which they did successfully, for me to be placed in a mainstream primary school. Primary school was initially frustrating, and as I was excluded from doing any PE, even though when I got home from school, I'd often be playing out, running around the garden and playing football with my brothers. I had to convince the teachers that I could join in, as I absolutely love sport, and eventually they agreed. By year 6, I was made captain of the school netball team. In secondary school, the teachers were brilliant. I could join in with whatever activity or lesson I liked, as long as I promised that I'd wear my shin pads. I joined in with everything, playing sports such as football, hockey and basketball. I enjoyed secondary school, where I achieved 17 GCSEs and then went on to sixth form, where I achieved 4 A-levels. I graduated in 2013 from Northumbria with a degree in sports development coaching, and I currently work for the NHS. In 2009, I completed a 250-mile bike ride. I was aged 17. We cycled across Holland to raise money for the Muscular Dystrophy campaign. My friend Pete had been diagnosed with a rare type at a young age. Unfortunately, he died in 2012, aged 23. But I feel like in raising money, we also raised awareness. I'm passionate about running, and it's something that I really enjoy. I feel that it's a great way to manage my condition, although I do have to be careful to prevent stress fractures and avoid falling over. This year so far, I've run over 630 miles, and I'm looking to do my 3rd marathon in 2018. Some of my achievements include being chosen as a torchbearer for the London 2012 Olympic Games, nominated for my volunteering in sport. I was selected as a volunteer at the London 2012 Paralympic Games and the European Athletics Team Championships in 2013. I am also a registered guide runner with England Athletics, and I regularly go out running with a lady who is visually impaired. As with any rare disease, I am uncertain as to what the future will bring, but I'm hoping to closely follow any new research, developments and treatments. I am unsure when my next fracture will be or the severity of it, but I do know that I'll continue to make the most of every day, continue with a positive attitude and undertake new challenges and opportunities as they arise. Thank you for listening.